Monday night with us, so they know it's not always easy. We're starting kind of the college planning process. It's very exciting, and I'm sure it's very nerve-wracking. Our goal tonight, 100%, is to not overwhelm you. It's to kind of empower you, give you some tools and some ideas to kind of start going out there and doing this stuff. What you need to know is that you can do this. Every year we have hundreds of kids come through who are juniors. They do the college search process. They apply to school as seniors and they go to school. You will be one of them too. So I think a lot of times in the past we've made people really nervous by giving them maybe too much information too quickly. We're trying really hard this year to pare it down to what you should be doing now, and then we'll touch base again. We're going to meet with our juniors in a couple of weeks and do a lot of intensive stuff with those guys. How rude. I am Katie Hebert, one of the guidance counselors here at North Andover High School. I've been here for 5 years. It's actually my 10th year as a guidance counselor. I used to work in Lunenburg High School for 5 years before I've been here, and my joke is I've obviously been around the block, so 10 years in, here we go.
I'm Caitlin Morgado. This is my first year as a guidance counselor at the North Andover High School. Prior to being here, I was in Lawrence as a school counselor, but I was born and raised in North Andover, graduated from North Andover High School in 2002, and excited to be here.
Okay, this is for you guys and for Caitlin and I. Whew, relax. Deep breath. There are over 3,800 schools in the U.S. Options for college. What that means to you. If you want to go, there's a place for you, okay? Every year, if you want to go to school, there's a place for you. There's a lot of great options for us. We're going to get you there, okay? A little bit at a time. The breathe part is actually for Caitlin and I. We're going to start really slow. How do we get the process started? Start talking about it. We made the joke in the last one, trap your kids in the car. Start just talking at them a little bit. They might not answer you back, but I promise you they're processing it. They're talking to us about it. You're the last people they're going to talk to. That's just your parent. How it goes in high school. They'll come back in their 20s, don't worry. But they are thinking about it. I know kids are talking about it. They're listening to seniors, getting their acceptances, and getting nervous. And so start talking to parents. I ask kids all the time, oh, I saw your mom went to college. Where'd they go? I don't know. What? Have a conversation. Start talking. Figure out why they went there, what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it. Where did Aunt Sally go? Where did, start kind of having those intro conversations. You'll be amazed at how much that'll get that thought process going for kids. It's a nice little kick for them. Good questions to ask as we're just easily getting the process started. How far am I realistically willing to go? The majority of our students, to be honest, will apply to schools and attend schools in the Northeast. What's nice is the Northeast has some awesome schools. We are in the best part of the country pretty much for schools. So there's a lot of good options. We do have students who go to California, who go to Florida, who go to Arizona, but the majority of kids will go in the Northeast. So that's where a lot of tonight's focus will be on kind of how to search and get out there. Be honest with yourself. Do I want a big school or a small school? You might not know yet. You should go see both. You're new at this. You're juniors. It's January. Go see everything. You might think, I want a big school, a giant school, I want football, I want this. But academically, that may not be the right fit for you. So you got to be really kind of smart. But right now, you guys should be going to look at both. College major. Don't stress. So many kids get paralyzed when thinking of college because they don't know what they want to major in. I'm still thinking about what I want to go back to major in. I mean, come on. It does feel like everyone knows what they want to do. I promise you they don't. Some kids do. They definitely do. They've known it forever. But the majority of us, we're not sure. We don't even know what's out there yet. So for those of you who have no idea, well, you're fine. You're probably going to want to go to a school that has a lot of majors to choose from. Financial cost. It's a reality for some of us. Not everyone can afford, the $50,000 a year price tag. It's the first time that kids have to make adult decisions when we get to the financial piece of it. What makes the most sense? We're educators. We couldn't go to school and take out $100,000 of loans. We would never pay it back. North Andover is nice, but I mean, come on. Climate. It's getting cold. Do you want to be in the cold? Do you like to ski? Stay here. Look in Maine. Look in Vermont. Do you hate it? Go somewhere else. Get out while you can. Be realistic about kind of what you like and what you don't like. What can I see myself doing for a job in 10 years? I know you don't know the answer to that. But think about, geez, I really don't like little kids. Good. You should not be an elementary school teacher. Now don't want to work in an office. I like to move around. I want to be outside. These are just questions to start the conversation, to get the ball rolling. And then what I definitely don't want to do. We already answered that one. Search engines. This is where you're going to start. This is how we get started. There's a ton of good ones. We use Naviance. That's our tool. Every parent gets an account. Every student gets their own account. You can search for your student when they're not even looking because you have your own account. You don't have to rely on them to do it. We use it to send transcripts. We send our recommendations. I do tons of college searches with kids. There's a lot of data on there that we'll show you tonight. Get comfortable using Naviance. If you don't have an account, it's okay. We'll get you set up. You don't have to be shamed. A lot of people don't have one set up yet. Now's the time. You can't break it. Click any button you want on there. I promise you. It's a wealth of information. Students, we're going to train a little bit more in 2 weeks on how to do a college search. We're going to sit with them. We're going to practice it so that they're really well armed with how to kind of do some searches. Our guidance website has a ton of information. The big things that it has for you, any type of college fair that's coming up, the date, where it's located, they'll send you links to all of that. Check out our website. It is a wealth of information. It is a little overwhelming because there's so much information. But if you have a question to anything that has to do with college, you can probably find a link to it on that website. They really do a nice job of that. Princeton Review is another place that people like to do. They do a lot of college rankings, depending if that's something you're into or if there's something specific you're looking for. It's a neat place to look. College admissions and rep visits. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Every year for seniors, we have about 100 college reps from local and schools from far away that come and meet with our kids. You're going to want to take advantage of that. Those are the people who read your application, and at the end of this, you're going to see why that's really important. College fairs are a great way to see lots of schools in one place. It's very hilarious when you walk in. It's booths, kind of like actually out there, but like auditoriums filled, and you just kind of like, you do your first lap, and you don't talk to anyone, and then you do your second lap, and then you kind of like stop in at a booth and get comfortable talking to the rep and asking questions. We will help you guys with what questions to maybe ask. I like YouTube. I don't know, it's funny. Kids from colleges put on really great videos. It's a way for kids to get a nice sense of like, what is it like there? Are these people fun? Are they not fun? So don't discount something like a YouTube. And then the college guidebooks have been around forever. They update them every year. We have them in guidance as well. The FISC, the Peterson Guide to Colleges, Princeton Review. There's a wealth of information out there for you. Our goal is to make it not seem so daunting and to give you a couple of key places to start so you can kind of branch out from there. How to use the search engine. Really, really easy. We're going to show you very quickly because I don't want to spend a lot of time on this with you because I know you can do it on your own. When I'm doing college searches with students and I start by type, 2-year or 4-year. Put in 4-year, and you're going to go to major. So we're going to show you, and you can search by any major. You can leave major out. Size, small school, big school, medium school, extra large. You can put it in there. If you're an athlete, you want to play baseball, you want to make sure they have a baseball team. If you're in the band, you want to do marching band, there's a little thing you can click for marching band. You want to make sure the schools that you're looking at have what you want to do. And then location is usually the easiest way to kind of start. So if we did a test student, I want to go to a 4-year school, I want to major in business, I want to play baseball, and I want to stay in the Northeast. It takes you 2 minutes to put that stuff in, you put it in, bam, here comes your list. 10 schools in the Northeast that have a baseball program that you can major in accounting in. It's that quick to kind of get the ball rolling for you. From there, you can click on these and you can figure out what the average GPA is, you can figure out what other majors are offered, what other programs they have. But it's that fast. Our goal is to show you guys how easy this is so that you can go home and practice it. And you can search 100 different times in 100 different ways, play around with it. The goal is to start building this list, have this nice big list, and then we're going to talk about how do we kind of cut that down so that we're not applying to 100 schools next year and driving your neighbors are crazy. Biggest thing you can do.
So the best way to start simplifying that list and narrowing that list is to go on college visits. There's no better way to tell if you like a school or can picture yourself there unless you're on campus. So as juniors, you have 3 college visits allotted to you. So take advantage of those this spring. Like Katie was saying earlier, do one large school, one small school, maybe one local, one up north. Take advantage of that time this year, so it helps you out in the summer and next fall. Next year you will get 5 college visits, where you're able to narrow down the list even more. If you're stuck between schools or you want to go on an interview and show that you're really interested in the school, you'll be able to do that in the fall. Things that you can do while you're on your visit, check out their bulletin boards, read their school newspaper, go on an official tour, an interview with an admissions rep. You can observe a classroom, you can do overnight stays with a current student. There really is unlimited options for you, but the most important is go where the students are. Eat in the dining hall, sit in the student lounge area, and ask other students who are currently there what they think of the school, how they like it, why they chose it. You're not limited just to that tour guide. So take advantage of all the people there, staff, students, alumni if they're available, and make sure you're asking all the questions that you want to know.
Eat the food. You're going to live there. You're going to have to eat it every day. Try the food. See if you can live with that. If it's not good, ask where they order out. That's good. But that is a really important thing. Make the most. Like we added a lot of the stuff about college visit in that handout for you, just as tips for you guys to like really think about how to maximize my college visit, how to make the most of it.
These are just a list of questions for you to consider when you're on these college visits. Make sure you're doing some research beforehand. Familiarize yourself with their academic programs or extracurricular activities. They have study abroad programs. And then when you're on the tour, don't be afraid to ask these questions. We had a parent ask if it's okay for parents to ask questions on the tour. Absolutely. Please do. You are just as much a part of this process as the student. But things to consider is why did you choose this school? Is there a work study program? How does that work? Do they have internships, co-ops? Finding out if there are programs and extracurricular activities that will help you grow while you're in college.
One of my favorite questions, do kids stay here on the weekends? And what do they do if they do? Ask that question. If you're going to be far away from home, you want to make sure kids are staying there on the weekends. You're going to be pretty important. So you've done your research. You've used all the search engines. You've visited 1 million schools. You've narrowed it down to 50. What do we do now? How do we pare it down? Be realistic. This is the hard one. Know where you stack up. Know what your GPA is. North Andover High School has a very good reputation in college admissions, which is helpful. We're a really good school. I've had admissions counselors from other states say, we want more kids from your zip code. That's awesome because we have kids to send you. Just be realistic. I want you to shoot for the stars. I want you to go, apply to your dream school, but also apply to some that are in your target area. And what we mean when we say target area is, I have a 50-50 chance of getting in, or a 60-40 chance of getting in. That's really going to be your kind of bulk of that list. Okay, the 1 and 2 reach, and then that bulk. That financial reality and responsibility. I tell this story every year. I had a student, terrific student. Her goal was to go to BC. She worked her tail off. She couldn't wait to go. She knew that financially it might not be the best fit. They probably couldn't afford it. She had a brother who had some learning issues, and her parents were upfront. They said, you know what? If we're going to spend money on college, it's not going to be on you. So she got into BC, and her parents begged her. She wanted to be a teacher so bad. They said, we will make it work, but you have to do something where you're going to make more money. We can't take out $100,000 of loans and then have you be a teacher. She's like, no, I want to be a teacher. So she didn't go. She went to Bridgewater State. She had a fantastic time. She is gainfully employed as a teacher in the Fitchburg Public Schools to this day. She said it was a perfect fit for her. It was the right fit for her. It was a hard fit. It was a hard choice to accept that. But what's right for me may not be right for you. Everyone's circumstance is different, so you have to kind of be mindful of that and just be honest about that. Meet with representatives. They're the people who represent that school. They're also the people who are going to read your application. So when they come to our school, if that's your number 1 school, your number 2 school, your reach school, get your butt down to guidance, sign up for that, and make sure that they see you. The best thing to do is if you have a test that day, and it's not miss the test, it's come down and say, I have a physics test, but I wanted to make sure I could shake your hand and fill out your card. They're going to remember that, trust me. And then talk with alumni. They lived it. They can tell you the good and the bad, the ugly. It's really, really important to just keep talking and asking questions and having those conversations. A typical list, I undercut it because I always do. If you add those up, that's probably like 5 schools. 1 to 2 reach schools, have them. I want you to have them. We want you to reach for that stuff. If you're a little bit below what their average is, go for it. Don't ever ask yourself in life, what if? But also, have plan B and C. Look at those realistic schools. You know, your 50-50s, your 60-40s. Have a nice chunk of those, and please have your 1 or 2 safeties. I laugh at Caitlin all the time. I'm cautious. I was born that way. I hate it. I always have plan B and C and D and what if. It is important to look at your safety school, not only academically, because you'll probably get more money, to be honest, also financially. You might want to have both, depending on what your circumstances. So just be realistic when you're building that list. There are some awesome schools out there, and we're all going to find the right one for us, but we need to make sure we're being mindful of who we are and what we need and what makes sense for us, and it's different for everyone. But I think on average, my kids probably applied to like 8 schools each. A parent in the last one asked the question, what's the average application cost? Anywhere from $30 to $75 usually per application. That's a lot of money. So when you come in with 20 schools, small loan, just be mindful of that. Everything costs money. To send your SAT scores, you gotta pay $11 a school. It's annoying. I hate it, but that's just kind of the way it goes. Any questions about making your list? We'll help kids with this. Right now, big stuff, big list. Just demonstrate that one. So things that you need to know. In college admissions, every school is different. What they require is different. It would be nice and easy if everyone wanted the exact same thing, but they don't. Most schools are going to require SATs or ACTs. One is not better than the other. They are interchangeable. If a school takes one, they'll take the other. Totally fine. 1 to 2 teacher recommendations. We recommend that kids get 2 academic recommendations. Your guidance counselor will automatically write you one anyway, so you don't have to worry about us. That is part of our job requirement. Most schools want junior and senior year teachers as well, or someone you've had not 2 years ago. So just start thinking about that. You're going to want to ask your teachers for the students here this spring who you want to write for you. Give them time. Some of those teachers like to write over the summer. Some like to wait until the last minute. Everyone has a different application deadline. Regular decision, most schools, January 1st you're looking at. Early is usually November 1st. There's a couple schools now that are doing those October 15th. Yeah. So just be really mindful when you're searching schools and you start to get your list. When is everything due? The application is the most important thing. If that's on time, anything else they'll take late. We'll send it on time, but just so you know, the application is the big one. And just know that some majors have different standards and different application deadlines. Engineering can be really hard to get into. Nursing is very difficult to get into. If you're going to apply for nursing, I recommend that you have kind of a bigger list than maybe an average kid would have, just in case. A lot of nursing programs only take 100 applicants. It can be tough. We have a lot of kids that get into nursing schools and they do great. It's a great profession. But just know that, and their application deadline is usually November 1st across the board at every school that you're going to apply for. And then art, music, a lot of times there's auditions, you might need a portfolio. If you're someone in that category, that's something to ask on that college visit, something to research online, because you might want to start putting some of that stuff together now, especially if it's a portfolio. Questions about any of that stuff? Yeah.
For the schools like engineering that we have earlier deadlines and out of state on top of it, how do you manage like getting there? That sort of thing. What do you recommend should be speaking on that like spring summer?
In terms of?
You wanted to say go to Texas to look at a school.
Whenever you can, before November 1st. Although, what I've had a couple kids do, if they have a couple schools that they want to apply to that they don't have time to get to, they'll apply, and then if they get in, they'll go and visit. Okay. So I do have kids that do that. Use your spring breaks, use your summers. Summer is it's a decent time to go to see a school. It's not the best because there's no students on campus, so you're not getting a feel, but I mean, it's still helpful. But if you can go back, yeah. So I would say if you're someone looking far away, use this spring, use this summer, use the fall, early fall, September.
And all the colleges will have their admission date, their application date.
Online. And actually, they're usually also on Naviance. Yeah, in one place.
Yeah. How do you actually set up this?
Great question. To set up a visit, you call admissions and just say, I'd like to take a campus tour. Some schools will let you do it online, but usually you have to call and they walk you through how to do it, sign you up, give you a specific day and time. Yep. don't be afraid to call auditions.
And they would be doing them now on weekends?
Yep, usually they'll do some weekends. A lot of times it's also during the week. So if you're going to maybe like Boston schools, you can probably hit up more than one in one day. It's because of a lot like BU, Northeastern are pretty compact. Same with Worcester. You could do Assumption, Becker, Holy Cross. You could take a full day. That'd be a long day, but a full day. So we have a video that we wanted to show you. It's what happens, I've sent in my applications. Now what happens? What does the college do with that application? It's a 4-minute video. It's from Brandeis University, which is a selective school. But it gives you a nice sense of how they select kids and what they're looking for. Can I get that volume up?
It makes a mark on our community, I think. Even if it wasn't the longest list of extracurriculars that are received, she really, she gets involved and she really makes an impact on each one.
You're getting a behind-the-scenes look at what typically is a closed-door process in the Brandeis University admissions office. Staff members are weighing applications in what's called committees.
He's involved in a lot of different things, and I think he'd be an interesting addition to the student body. So I was between waitlist and admit.
As a group, they're deciding whether to admit, waitlist, or deny prospective students. But before we go further, let's back up. Before any applications are discussed here, thousands of them start their journey here, in the operations department, where they wait for an admissions staff member like Jen Walker to read them.
Depending on where people like to read their files, it ends up somewhere in our house. So for me, that's the kitchen table.
To offer perspective, Walker read roughly 800 applications last year alone. As the counselors read, the strongest of them are quickly pushed through the acceptance process, while others end up in the committee room.
There's a lot of personal characteristics that feel like a really nice match for Brandeis.
Yeah,
Knowing that he visited, knowing that he gets us, I guess I'm sort of making the leap between he's making that connection too.
What's also nice that, and as a working right up here, that will benefit Brandeis as a whole.
I'll tell you a little secret. When you go through the committee, more often than not, students are offered admission. We look for, again, so many ways on how you as an individual will impact our campus. So for us, there will be so many viewpoints. At some point, if there's enough positive viewpoints, that will sway the committee.
She's ranked at 21% of her class. Every time you open up that folder, it's like you're putting together a puzzle. And you have an essay, and you have a transcript, and you have recommendations, and you're trying to build a picture of another human being.
As a Brandeis alum, admissions counselor Sarah Eric has a good idea of what to look out for while building the community.
I first look at their academic record, but then I'm also looking to see who they are as people. Are they a fit with this institution? Are they going to come here? Are they going to be happy? Are they going to be contributors? Those blocks can be different characteristics, but once you get enough, then maybe you're admitted to Brandeis.
Acceptance letters are eventually signed, stuffed, and sent back to the operations department, where all applicant information is stored. You can think of Zachary Santamaro as the data man.
I'm pretty much the last line of defense as far as making sure that the data that's in our system is accurate. Hasn't been uploaded into the system with a space where a space shouldn't be, a dash where a dash shouldn't be.
In the meantime, Chris Holston takes all of the applicant data and turns it into something tangible. You can call Holston the report guy.
We look in trends over periods of years. So we would look at all the applicants from New York for the past 5 or 10 years and see how their SAT scores have been looking, their grade point averages, things like that.
On this day, it was too early for Holston to offer any data on the next Brandeis class, as committee decisions were still in progress. But he's excited to see how the class shapes up, a sentiment shared by all involved in the process.
You see these wonderful students and their families arrive on campus, and you could just sense the energy that they bring to this campus.
I don't just know their grades, I know their stories. A lot of things come through in recommendations and in essays, and you do sort of fall in love with a few of them and advocate for them and push them through the process. And then when that student is admitted and matriculates and shows up at Admitted Students Day, and you see them, and I met them over a year ago at their high school, and now they're here. It's amazing.
And it's all made possible through an applications journey and 3 very special words. Welcome to Brandeis. I'm Marcia McEachern.
So I thought, we had searched lots of different videos. I just thought it was neat to show you guys kind of what happens to your application. What are they? They really look at everything in your application. It's really like, they draw it on the board, activities and grades, and did you challenge yourself? Did you challenge yourself too much? On the end of your packets, you're going to see some data. And I want to talk about that before you go, because it is not meant to scare you off. That data are averages. And they're only averages from North Andover students only from years 2012 to 2014, so not including last year's class. They're averages for a reason. I have students who get in who have lower GPAs than what you're seeing on there and higher GPAs. So I don't want you to be scared off. The UMass Amherst one, unfortunately, is pretty accurate. You're looking around the 3.4 to 3.8 is where a lot of kids are getting in. At least that's what we're seeing the past couple years. It's just such good bang for your buck. So top kids are applying. But just kind of keep that in mind. Don't get scared off by this stuff. It's just informational only. We really do have some clout with a lot of schools because we're North Andover High School, which is really, really nice for our kids. We do well. I would focus less on the GPA and more on the percent accepted. That's really where you're going to see how challenging is it for a school to get in. If you're looking at a school that only 10% are accepted, that's wicked hard to get into. Doesn't mean you shouldn't apply, but just kind of know that that's going to be a reach and have a couple of those middles and one of those likelihoods in there too for you. So that's why we put that data on there. We wanted you to be able to see it, but I also wanted you to take it with a grain of salt. That's not the end all be all. They're looking at lots of different things. They're going to read that essay. That can sway someone. Drew from Holy Cross, what did he call the essay? The student is the chicken finger and the essay is the dipping sauce, to kind of make it better.
It is now time to move to your next information session.
So the one thing we want you to leave here tonight with is, well, a couple things. You can do this. You can do a college search and you're going to get into school somewhere. Number two, for the juniors out there, think about who you want to ask for recommendations and start thinking about your testing schedule. When are you going to take your SATs? Most kids will sign up for March and then do it again in May or June. But start planning that out. A lot of you guys have tons of activities, so you want to make sure that you have that planned in advance. Try to do that ahead of time.